Coming up, a look at 7 key tips to know before a trip to Epcot in 2021. Hello my friends, it's David here from Beyond the Kingdoms, and welcome to Back to Basics Week. Now yesterday I gave you my top 7 tips to know before a trip to Hollywood Studios. So today we're going to take a look at Epcot. Now I first want to say that festivals are indeed happening here, but they're not quite at the same scale and the dates are a little bit different. For example, Flower and Garden will take place until July 5th, and for 2021, Food and Wine is running from July 15th to November 20th. So that's plenty of opportunities to catch some good food while still being outside. But allow me to take this rare opportunity to give you guys some good tips to know that have nothing to do with the festivals, because that's something I've never quite covered in the past at length. So without further ado, let's jump in. First, how many days should you dedicate to Epcot? I've always felt that 2 days is really the only way to go at this park. There aren't too many attractions here, but Epcot is absolutely huge and exhausting. I will admit that with scaled back festivals, now is perhaps the only chance you have to squeeze everything there is at Epcot into one day. You may have to skip a few films along the way, but it's doable now more than before. But I still like to experience Epcot over 2 days because I like exploring every nook and cranny. In yesterday's video, I recommended Hollywood Studios on a Wednesday, or as close to the middle of the week as possible because it's very popular. Therefore, Epcot can sit on the shoulders of the week. I'm hesitant to fully recommend Epcot on a weekend because the locals flood this park on Saturday nights. If you only have one day at Epcot, Sunday or Monday would work pretty well. But in a perfect world, and if you're planning a week-long itinerary, I would do Future World on a Monday and World Showcase on a Thursday. Now usually I would dive into a more detailed touring plan for tip number 2, but in this case, allow me to talk about attraction curveballs first. Out of all 4 parks, Epcot feels the most normal right now. Only 3 attractions have significant changes to them in terms of physical distancing: Test Track, Living with the Land, and Frozen Ever After. The rest only see minor adjustments. Now, Frozen Ever After is one of the only boat rides to have plexiglass now in between rows. Other boat rides like Pirates at the Magic Kingdom simply leave rows empty to allow physical distancing. But since Frozen is really popular and there's very limited space for the queue, this is the best compromise to get more guests through the attraction safely. However, the original design of the Viking ship and the placement of animatronics means that the plexiglass could obstruct your view, especially for the little ones. Now don't get me wrong, I understand this adjustment. I just want Frozen fans to know that this attraction may be a little disappointing right now. But the good news is that this adjustment means that the wait time is usually under an hour these days, a big improvement. Now a similar setup can be seen on the boats at Living with the Land. However, I find that it's not as intrusive at this attraction. If you go on both rides, you'll notice that at Frozen, show scenes happen somewhat in front of you and sometimes off to the side. At Living with the Land, the boat was designed in a way to keep you looking towards the sides more than the front. This is especially true in the greenhouse section. So there's no real curveball here and the wait times are consistently really good, but I wanted to point out how the same safety precaution can have 2 different effects. The one major curveball you have to watch out for is Test Track. I think everyone knows that this thrill ride is usually the most popular attraction at Epcot.
it consistently sees the longest lines throughout the entire day. And even without a fast pass queue and no pre-show, the wait here is still usually exceeding over an hour. And that's because each travel party gets their own car now. When I went to the park solo, I had a car all to myself. There's simply no way to leave empty rows in between travel parties or install plexiglass since the cars move really fast. And I must point out that there's no single rider line. So this is definitely an attraction you want to do first or last, which takes me to tip number 3. Building a touring plan for this park. No matter if you have one day at this park or 2, rope dropping test track or saving it as a finale is the best decision you can make. If you only have one day at Epcot, consider it first and tour the park in a figure 8 pattern. Now this park doesn't usually open until 11 a.m. these days, but I found that on my trips, cast members usually let people in as early as 10:30, and that's to avoid bottlenecking at the entrance. So catch that first bus or arrive a good hour before opening time so that you can head straight to Test Track first. From there, you can tour the rest of Future World counterclockwise, hitting Mission Space second, followed by Spaceship Earth, then the Seas, the Land, and Imagination. And from there, I would tour World Showcase clockwise, starting in Mexico and ending in France. Only having one day may mean you'll have to skip a film or 2, or you might not make it all the way around. But I like this pattern now because Impressions to France is usually only showing for the last hour of the day, and it is of course a classic. During the daytime hours, the Beauty and the Beast sing-along is shown inside the theater instead. But I have to confess that I really enjoy the new Canada Far and Wide film, so I actually tend to cheat the figure 8. After Future World, I backtrack to Canada first, then hit Mexico and move on from there. I also think this plan works well when it comes to dining because the back corner of World Showcase offers fantastic dinner options, both quick and table service. And when Remy's Ratatouille Adventure opens on October 1st of later this year, this plan will mean that you can start and end with the 2 most popular attractions. But the main thing to remember is that the hub of Future World is still behind construction walls. At the moment, you cannot cross the park from the land directly to Mission Space. You have to circle around all that construction zone. And it looks like this is going to be here for quite some time, so please keep that in mind when you're creating your plan. But like I said, if you really want to watch all the films and animatronic shows and take your time shopping and sampling delicious food, Epcot is best enjoyed over 2 days. On day 1 in Future World, you can again either start or end with Test Track. If you find yourself arriving here later in the day because you're park hopping or enjoying some pool time at your hotel, you can start your tour at Spaceship Earth, followed by the Seas, the Land, and Imagination, which means that you can end with the 2 thrill rides and make a quick stop at Mouse Gear before exiting. Now on day 2, I really like to start by entering the park via the International Gateway entrance. This is in between the United Kingdom and France. This will naturally work well if you're staying at the Yacht and Beach Club or a hotel on the Skyliner like the Riviera, because Disney's newest transportation system will take you directly to this entrance. I've even sometimes parked at Hollywood Studios just to utilize this back entrance. You can do both Hollywood Studios and Epcot in one day like this, or simply start here and enjoy a really nice long breakfast at a hotel. But this will allow you to enter the back half of the park before most guests reach the countries, and you'll have some areas all to yourself. If you plan to do this, I would start in the United Kingdom, followed by Canada so you can catch that new film. And then continue clockwise by hitting Mexico, Norway, and so on. That way, again, you can end in France. It really is my favorite way to end World Showcase.
Next, let's take a look at Relaxation Stations. These are dedicated zones where guests can come in and take off that mask for a quick break. Now, Epcot has 3 stations. 2 of them are in World Showcase and 1 is in Future World. And there is one in each section of the park that's outside, but the third and final station is located indoors.
The one indoor relaxation station is located at the Norway Pavilion, inside Akershus Royal Banquet Hall. This is normally the park's princess character meal, but as you can see, that is not offered at the moment. Whether you're comfortable or not going mask-free inside, it's worth a stop here just to check out this restaurant. It's beautiful. A lot of guests tend to dine here over Cinderella's royal table because of the price point. It's still expensive, but it's a little bit cheaper. So if that's something you've considered in the past, a quick look here now will give you an idea of what to expect. The 2 remaining relaxation stations are outside. One is the seating area for Yorkshire County Fish Shop in the UK, which provides a nice lagoon-side view of World Showcase. And the second is in between Mission Space and Test Track. Next, let's look at shopping. In some ways, World Showcase is really a glorified mall. A large part of this park is dedicated to shopping and dining at all the different countries. And they each offer something for everyone. Most stores are open right now, but you will notice that some shops remain closed. For example, Northwest Mercantile and the Trading Post in Canada are not open, but a nearby cart sells some cute Canadian merchandise. At the United Kingdom, half of the stores remain closed on the big high street, including the Crown and Crest. This is where you would normally look up family names and history. But Disney has taken some of the items found at each of these stores and consolidated them into the Tea Caddy store and the Lords and Ladies shop just next door. But thankfully, my favorite stores at Epcot are still open. And that's simply because they are not to be missed. My favorite Christmas store in all of Walt Disney World is located at the Germany Pavilion, next to the Caramel shop. If you're looking for traditional Bavarian-style holiday ornaments, this is the place to go. It doesn't quite have the same range of different Disney characters, but the items found here are one of a kind. A stop here and the Christmas shop in Disney Springs are a must. But if I had to pick just one store to spend my money at inside Epcot, it would definitely be the Mitsukoshi store in Japan. This shop is the most authentic in World Showcase, mainly because it is run by a real Japanese department store that has been around for centuries. Whether you're looking for unique apparel, home goods, or simply just want to pick up some Pokemon items, this store will have what you're looking for. So make sure you squeeze some time in for it. Moving on to tip number 6, best places to eat at Epcot. Now, this really is the million-dollar question at this park. Another reason I like to dedicate 2 days at Epcot is so that I can enjoy more of the restaurants. This is arguably the best park at Disney World for the foodies. There are dozens of quick and table service options, snack stands, and of course food booths during all the festivals. If you're sticking to quick service, there are 3 restaurants I'd like to highlight. First is Sunshine Seasons. This is inside the land. This is, believe it or not, the only major quick service restaurant in the front half of the park. The menu is slightly on the healthier side here, but also serves up delicious plates like the Land Crusher, a scrumptious pulled pork sandwich. Seating is entirely inside at this restaurant, but there's plenty of space between tables. The second quick service I want to highlight is across the park back at the Japan Pavilion. Like I already said, this is one of my favorite countries in World Showcase and packed full of dining options. But Katsura Grill is a quiet little underdog in my opinion. I love the katsu curry here, and adventurous eaters may want to try the okonomiyaki fries. But I mostly love this restaurant because of the ambiance. But the best quick service at this park is arguably Regal Eagle over at the American Adventure. Prior to this restaurant opening, I found myself mainly doing table service at Epcot or just sticking to the festival booths. A lot of quick services at Epcot are surprisingly disappointing. Regal Eagle, however, packs a fantastic menu of American barbecue. It's great bang for your buck because the plates are very big and the quality is excellent. There's also a tremendous amount of seating, both indoors and out. To see more of this restaurant, click the link in the top right-hand corner now. I posted a detailed review of Regal Eagle last year, just before the parks closed. If you're watching this on your television and don't see that little link pop up, just jump to the end of this video later, because I'll post it there as well. Now, if you're comfortable dining indoors at a table service restaurant, you may feel very overwhelmed selecting a restaurant at Epcot. And not all of them are open at the moment, so allow me to provide a quick recap. My 3 favorite countries to enjoy a table service for dinner are Japan, Morocco, and France. This again supports my idea of ending your days at Epcot in this back corner of the park. At the Japan Pavilion, Teppan Edo is the only table service open at the moment. This is the hibachi place located above the department store. Sadly, both Tokyo Dining and Takumi Thai are not open at this time. 2 doors down, Chefs de France is open for lunch and dinner, and it's a good place to eat if you like traditional European cuisine. France is also another excellent place for a sweet ending. Both the ice cream shop and the patisserie offer delicious desserts. But my dedicated viewers know that I love Spice Road Table in Morocco. Great food and a nice view of the lagoon when fireworks are happening. Now, things have changed here slightly in that Disney has taken over the restaurant from a previous third-party company, and they've slightly altered the menu. Most of my favorites are still here, but the menu now consists of just small plates, no big dinner food here. But that was the original idea when it first opened. So this mainly works now if you're enjoying lots of food during a festival and only wanting a light bite at the end of your day. Now, a few other fan favorites that have reopened and kind of sit in my tier 2 category are Via Napoli in Italy, the best pizza at Disney World in my humble opinion, Rose and Crown Pub in the UK, Le Cellier in Canada, which is the only signature restaurant currently open at Epcot, and Beer Garden in Germany. This is actually my least favorite restaurant, but it's one of the few all-you-can-enjoy restaurants at Disney World right now. The only other closed restaurant I haven't mentioned already is Nine Dragons in China. Everything else is pretty much open. But since I just mentioned buffets, allow me to highlight Garden Grill. I mentioned this earlier this week. Very few character meals are open at Disney World right now. The ones that have reopened have eliminated the traditional buffet, and food is served family style. The characters also don't come directly to your table, they just appear from a distance. If you're looking to do at least one character meal on your next trip, this is one of my favorites. Breakfast is my favorite meal here, but it's currently only open for lunch and dinner. If you're doing my 2-day touring plan of Epcot and enjoy a full day in Future World, there's plenty of time to squeeze this one into the schedule. But let's wrap up today's video with tip number 7, where to find some minor entertainment and characters at Epcot. While Hollywood Studios offers the most live entertainment right now, Epcot falls in a close second place. Concerts are definitely not happening right now for the festivals, but the American Gardens Theater is still home to some great musical entertainment. Right now, this is where you'll find Mariachi Cobre from Mexico, the Voices of Liberty, and a few other musical acts. The a cappella group from the American Adventure do a few shows a day here, singing classic tunes from the Disney Songbook. It's a nice little twist from the norm for Epcot. Of course, showtimes for all of these little performances can change all the time, so check your My Disney Experience app for more details. Over in Canada, at the Mill Stage, you'll find the Jammers doing a few performances throughout the day as well. This is a long-running percussion group that you may recall seeing during festivals like Food and Wine. And of course, we again have cavalcades, which happen sporadically throughout the day between 11 a.m. and about 4:30. All 4 parks feature this, but Epcot only has 2. And the cavalcades usually tour the promenade of World Showcase clockwise. You won't see this if you're hanging out in the front half of the park. First, there is the Mickey and Friends World Tour. This one usually features Mickey and Minnie along with Pluto. Then, of course, there is the Princess Procession, where you'll see Disney princesses from around the world, such as Aurora, Belle, and Jasmine. But a few more princesses pop up in other locations. In fact, out of all 4 parks, Epcot is the place where you're most likely to see some characters at a distance. In Norway, both Anna and Elsa pop out in front of the Royal Summerhus. You won't have to wait in line to go inside because they tend to greet guests out on the front lawn. This one's really great for the Frozen fans. Over in the UK, I've spotted both Alice and Mary Poppins meeting guests at a distance in the garden area behind the tea shop. And over in Future World, between the land and Imagination, you may catch Joy from Inside Out, as well as Chip 'n Dale and Pooh. So if anyone in the group is missing some character interactions, Epcot is definitely the place to be.
So there you have it, my friends, my top 7 tips to know while enjoying a beautiful day at Epcot. Stay tuned tomorrow for day 4 Back to Basics Week with a look at some key tips for Disney's Animal Kingdom. You won't want to miss it. But until then, please stay safe out there, take care of each other, and remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.